Welcome to the Creative AI Show. What do we have this week, Brian?
Hey Rosh, happy to be here. We are two creative guys talking AI, and I'm super excited you introduced me to what now I think is the king of the hill in image creation. We're talking about Reve.art. I did a video yesterday that came out on our channel, and I just did a first initial reaction of it. Knocked my socks off, blown away. Very, very good
Yeah.
stuff. I'm excited to talk a bit about that with you. I know you've played with it a bit. And then also, I want to talk back to our creative entrepreneurs, our creative listeners, and talk about all these AI skills that you're building and whether or not and how to put them on your resume and how to talk to them about, how to talk to potential employers about what it is that you're doing in these worlds and how this is going to benefit you.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you have going on?
Well, that kind of fits well with my topic is just, what do we do with AI? What do you do with AI? I have friends like, what do I do with this AI? How do I learn
Right,
AI? And even a number of people in like the Bill Gateses of the world who have been saying lately, you need to understand that because there's not going to be much left, kind of a
right.
thing. And
Yeah.
which, yes and no, but we have certainly been on the AI director bandwagon
Mhm.
and know that that is the direction it's going to go. But I want to just talk about what do you do right now, and also I'm going to
Yeah,
include um, some of the new releases out in the last week as
cool.
part of that conversation. And then the second part, robots. I want to talk robots a little bit with our AI.
Oh yeah. I've been watching some videos lately, and yeah, they've been doing AI learning on them. And the Boston, I don't know if you're gonna talk about that. I think Boston Dynamics.
Oh
It's
yeah,
one of the most famous ones, but it's
yep,
crawling, it's flipping,
yeah,
it's doing
yeah,
everything now. It's
yeah. China's done the same. It's
oh
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So, all right, image creation is something that has been one of the main tools of AI that people have used since it's come out. And, I remember the infancy of DALL-E, first playing with that and being, pretty impressed, but
Yeah.
it was few and far between to get an image where it was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This looks
But
like
when you
stock
had nothing, that
photography.
was amazing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like, the first people went from horse and buggy and then got into a motorized car. That's what it
Yeah.
felt like
Like, oh,
at first. So, but now that Model T that we had 2 years ago is already becoming a Ferrari. I mean, it's
yeah.
happening that quickly. It's happening in front of our eyes. And the latest contender, the latest, enter in this game is called Reve.art, spelled Reve. So it's like the French word Rev for dream. And these images are a dream. They're great. I did a video, like I said, put up yesterday on the channel. Did some comparison. I mean, I used Leonardo for a good amount the past few months, and I've been really impressed by it to the point
Mhm.
where I subscribe to it. I pay 12 a month. I
Yep.
get a lot of the features in Leonardo. I know you like,
I like
Midjourney
it.
and Leonardo are right
Yeah.
up there for you, right?
Yeah. I use them both, but I've been leaning more on Leonardo
Right.
mostly because actually, my production manager, I just switched her over from Midjourney to Leonardo
Oh,
last
cool.
week
Yeah.
because the workflow is so much better.
Yes. Well,
And
flow
she was
state part of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and she loved
Yeah.
Midjourney. I had not hooked her up because we've been using stock agencies for a
Yeah.
while,
Okay.
until a few weeks ago, and I hooked her up Midjourney, and like, now we got to go Leonardo. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
can I
It's
throw
just
one more
the,
thing in there? And because
oh,
this is a
cool,
great
please.
topic of yours,
Yeah.
is that the one thing said this is so great, but you know what I keep thinking about? Runway frames, but we don't know. This one they give you a free amount, and we'll talk about this later. But the thing
Right.
is
Runway's
frames.
still teasing us with
It's
that,
it's
and the
it
price point so high, it's like it better be
yeah,
good.
it's just grinding me. Anyway, thanks
Yeah.
for letting me get that off my chest.
Yeah, no problem. And you know what? To be honest, Runway, they've kind of, we've had some things to say about Runway
Yeah,
in the
that's
past couple
true.
months here. So I'm not too heavily inclined to go that way, especially when something like Rev.art drops.
Yep.
And first of all, like you said, the price point is astonishing. I mean, I think, how many images per day are, at
As
the
I
free
understand,
price
it's a
point?
hundred. You get a
Wow.
hundred a day. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm in a real creative session, I'm rarely over 20 or 30 images in a day. At that
Right.
point, I need to get up and walk and do something different.
Right.
So to be able to give 100 images, and what's great about it is much like, Leonardo, when you do give it a prompt, you're going to get the 4 images, and you can select on the side how many images. But I think 4 is a good magic number, and
Yeah.
typically 50 to 75% of them are on point. They're really good.
Yeah.
So just some things about it. First of all, they're a California company, and where it really excels is in very complex prompts. So what I've noticed with, say, Leonardo or DALL-E or Grok or even some of those is you can give it a really complex prompt, and honestly, it's going to try to take a swing at like 60% of what you gave it. And there
Right.
are elements in the prompt that are just completely ignored. And that happens to the point of frustration to where, if you're a real artist, a real AI director, and you have a vision for what you need this image to be, you can't just say, a cat. You've got to give it every bit of a descriptor of this whole scene, and
Yeah.
it better replicate what it is that you're asking pretty well.
Right.
And so, in this, the shorter video that I went through yesterday that we posted, I went from a really simple prompt of just a red apple to see how they both did, and Leonardo was stellar. I mean, it looked spectacular, the lighting,
I think it was
everything.
even better, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
better because it looked more cinematic.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't even choose the cinematic mode in Leonardo, I chose the stock photography, but it
Hmm.
looked more dramatic. All
Right.
right. So on a simple prompt, I thought Leonardo was great. I still thought Rev was great, but it was a very simple apple.
Yeah.
But the realism, I would have believed every single one of the four that it gave me to be stock photography. I
Hmm.
mean, if you put them side by side with a standard resolution on your computer, these images are getting beyond the point of where our computer resolution that we're used to dealing with can decipher if it's real or not.
Hmm.
In real world, we've got the resolution of our eyes, but realistically, we've got the resolution of our monitors or our devices that we're looking at. So that's our limiting factor. So I know I'm trying to speak a little bit in the photography world here for you, but
Let you go. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah.
Feel
So, all
free.
right. So, as we go down the rabbit hole with Reve.art, and I went through 5 different prompts, and by the fifth one, it was incredibly complex
That
with
was.
all sorts of different off-the-wall ideas, and it, oftentimes got 5 out of 5 right. I mean, there was one that I thought out of the 4 that kind of missed it,
Hmm.
but it was really good. And what made me, want to take it from just one of the videos I did yesterday and talk to our audience about it today is that when I was done, I was inspired to say, all right, now I have an image creator that I think is going to pass the test of my toughest client. So,
Call it the S test.
the S test. We will call it the S test. We've got, we share a client. We love him because he
He's
pushes
great.
us to be our absolute very best.
Yes, he does.
But he can sniff it if it doesn't look real, if it isn't. And I think we're finally there to where I can create a rather corporate image with a lot of complexities and have everything look right.
Yeah.
The fingers are good, the facial expressions are good, the emotion of the scene is right, the lighting is right. And I was able to do that with just one iteration with Rev.
Nice.
And I haven't even cracked what it claims, to excel at prompt adherence, aesthetics, and then typography. And I haven't
Yeah.
even cracked that egg yet.
So that reminds me of ideogram, and I think ideogram is a excellent tool for text. It's one of the best. So that might be worth a comparison video in the
Okay.
coming
Yeah.
days. Something to
Yeah.
consider.
I mean, if it says it excels at it, you know what? It hasn't lied to me yet because its prompt adherence and its aesthetics have been on point. So, yeah, I think that would be a really good idea. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Good video.
So,
Yeah.
all right, thank you. Yeah, I want to throw it back your way. And hey, we're making all these great AI things. We're making these images, these image to video, this music stuff. What do we do with it?
Yeah, what do we do with AI? I do think though that the S test is something we should continue to use. It's like the standard.
Our litmus part. I love it.
The S
I
test.
got, I got one that got passed by the S test. No, actually, I got one passed by the S test for a different project that we're working on
Oh, yeah.
of where they did the you put in captions where you put a script in and it has one of the characters that talks
Mhm.
through. And as long
Oh,
as you keep them short and sweet, they pass the S test.
nice.
So
We're going to
anyway, all
hear
right,
people
as you
on
were.
podcast years from now. Yeah, pass the S test.
That's
All
going
right.
to be one of
So,
our first merch shirts.
yes, exactly.
I love
You
it.
passed the S test. Does your AI pass the S test? All right. So, what can you do with AI? And what do I mean by this? I've had this conversation a few times in the past over our few years of doing this. And that is, remember the early day of computers back in the old days? The
Mhm.
first computers, no one knew what to do with them. And
Right.
and so it's like I remember people say, well, maybe I can put my recipes on them or store some information or just had no idea.
Right.
And I was listening to I think it was a podcast or a YouTube video, and somebody was talking about, today, how people ask them, how do you become a software engineer? And he's like, build stuff,
Yeah.
build stuff, create stuff. And then you can go to, rather than it being on your resume, you show them what you built and
Right.
impress their socks off. And I have a friend or two that comes to me and says, how do I do this AI stuff? It's like, no, that's the wrong question. What do you want to build? What do you want to create? What do
Right.
you want to do? And then you can be the AI director to do that, to create that. And that is so important. It's such a mind shift. It's not like how do I have to learn how to network a computer. I have to learn how to turn a computer on and off. I have to learn how to, do the basics of anything, new. It's the thing answers the questions for you. How do
Right.
you work? It'll tell you. So we have new tools that are coming out all the time. Uh, Google Notebook just came out with their mind map. So it takes, and if you want to learn stuff, Google Notebook is a great place to go because
Okay.
not only does it create the podcast, if you upload some information,
A
that's
PDF, right? Yeah,
yeah,
that's nice.
PDF or give it a link, even YouTube video. Are they doing that correctly now? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No, it was available, but I don't know if it was working well. But it'll break it down for you and or do a podcast for you or so many different ways. And now they have the mind map tool that'll break things out in that method. So they're using this tool to really be a place to educate yourself. And because as we know, different people learn different ways.
Right.
And this is becoming such a tool to even take complex problems. So if you are having trouble and you want to know how AI works rather than just go out there and break stuff and do it,
Yeah.
you need a little bit of information before. That's a good place to go. But using the different platforms, learning what their strengths and weaknesses are. Like I've said before, a Claude, excellent for creativity. If you want to be
Right.
more creative coding, more creative writing, and now they have search. And so they released that this week. So that's amazing. So we should compare those. OpenAI is improved their audio system to be able to create stuff with audio. So that's
Oh,
really cool. Yeah.
nice.
And then, of course, you just talked about Rev, which you did a great job with your video. And then Google AI Studio is
Hmm.
released to everyone. And wow, is that you've done a little bit in there and talked
Hmm.
about that. And man, that is just an amazing suite of tools, things you never even realized you wanted to play with. So
Right.
it's all there for you. What what
Yeah.
what would you add to that? What do
I
you
love it. I mean, yeah, I mean, the reason that I even wanted to do this in the first place is I had a problem. My problem was that I needed to try to create imagery and visuals for my band. And this was just a personal project, a problem or a project, whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
And I was like, all right, now I have something I want to work on, a reason to have to use these tools. And then it was the iterations of using these tools and figuring out how to use them that, got me there. It was, and
yeah,
these tools, again, they teach you how to use them. So, especially like with the Pika, I love every new feature that comes out. There's a little section in there where you could watch a video on how to exactly do this step by step.
right,
So
right,
yeah, these it's great, and this it's going to lend actually perfectly back into my next speaking point of
right.
yeah. So you've listened to a few podcasts, maybe you've listened to ours. Thank you very much, we appreciate that. And you've played with these different tools. You've gotten good with Chat GPT, or you've used Midjourney to create images, or maybe you've used Kling to make some really good image to video. But where does this take you? Where does this go? And so, all right, well, let's think about how you can use this to your advantage to become more employable. So all managers right now, if AI isn't on their radar, then they're not a manager that you probably want to work with because they are way, way in the past. So
Yeah.
they're not realizing the importance of this. So I definitely suggest that you do put any relevant AI skills on your resume.
Mhm.
You can, list them up there just like everyone else used to list, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel.
Yeah,
You can
right.
say chat GPT, and there's ways to do it. And so there's, speaking points to this. So one of the main points of it is that it shows that you're staying ahead of the curve with emerging creative technology. So
Right.
that's really important in the eyes of an potential employee. You could say things like proficient in ChatGPT, Adobe Firefly, or other generative AI tools. So you
Right.
can drop some big names and stuff that they're going to know. So that's really good. It shows that you have the mindset of efficiency. And an employer is going to be looking for that, especially because they know these emerging technologies are coming out and there's going to be advancements in efficiency on the job site. So it's really important. So you can say, I reduced content production time 30% by using AI enhanced tools.
Right.
Different things like that you could put on your resume. It shows that you are going to be adaptable to be cross disciplinary, to be
Mhm.
able to have knowledge in other areas to where maybe you're on a marketing team and you need to be able to have some information about from the sales team, and you need to be able to compare these dissimilar bits of information, and you can state that, hey, I've used AI tools to be able to make these bridges and these comparisons. So I have applied prompt engineering to align creative outputs with brand strategy. It's like, how good is that to put that on your resume? And
Yeah.
it's, yeah, you ask ChatGPT how to correlate these two bits of data.
Yeah, or even if you get down the engineering path, I worked
Yeah,
with some of the top AIs to solve this engineering problem.
right.
And things like that. I mean, there's so many approaches to how you use it. But again, it's not just using it, it's again, you have to be there building something. You have to,
Yeah,
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 and you can't put those things on the resume if you haven't created something. Knowing how to say,
right,
how many miles is it to the sun so many times is only going to get you so far. You're
right.
just like building, a software engineer point earlier. What did you do with it that was constructive?
Yeah, and when you're in the interview, that's where you should shine because they should be on the edge of their seat asking questions about, okay, you've harnessed this new technology. What did you do with it? And
Right.
then that's when you can truly state, oh yeah, I was able to on a shoestring budget create a video that got, this company, 10 million views, and because I did this or that, and
Right.
just
Yeah.
different stats that you've done because you've been there before. So these are the steps that you've got to take to, create these projects. And that's the main thing, to kind of throw back to what you said before. When somebody asks me, what do you do with it? My next question is, tell me a problem of yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Excellent.
And you start there. Start with what your problems
What
are,
problem
and
you
then
want to solve? Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. I need better looking imagery. Oh, you know what? I'm terrible at writing scripts for my client who has to do this or that. Or I don't like looking at the numbers of this for, to see if I'm profitable or anything. There's solutions in every direction.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the employers or the employees of the future, that's going to have to be their mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and people, I think we've said this in the very beginning, the people who ask the best questions will win.
Right.
And and that's going to continue.
And to lead into your last topic, we're going to keep giving this information until these people get replaced by robots.
Robots. Yeah, and we're getting close, but the AI, it's going to be in the robots. And that's the bottom line. And so you're
Not
going to
just your
have
toaster.
assistants.
Your
Pardon?
robot will be the toaster
Yeah,
that will
right.
have
Yeah,
AI.
yeah, we said it'll be in your toaster. Well, yeah, it'll be cooking toast for you is what it's going to do. It's going to take the bread out of the refrigerator
Yep.
and put it in the toaster for you, or maybe it has its own toaster embedded. I don't know. It depends on
Exactly.
what kind of robot you have. But the
100%.
but the point being that you will have an assistant, and so not only will it be a screen that's talking back to you. Now it can actually be a functioning thing that could actually pick up that rock and put it over there or work in the kitchen, which
Hmm.
many of them are doing. you're talking about the Boston Dynamics robots that have
Yeah.
these totally switched over to they were doing hydraulic for years, and just what in the last year they went to fully electric because they're so much better, and now they have so much flexibility. And they have one that's just dancing around,
Yeah.
and the Chinese just came out with one that's just completely dancing and doing kung fu moves and flipping. And I mean, they are just amazing. And now
Yeah.
imagine, a smart LLM in there that you can talk to, say, hey, can you help figure this out? And by the way, hand me that wrench. So there's going to be some, life is changing
Yeah.
and the genie's out of the bottle. And I think that both you and I have said this enough times on the podcast. It's not that we're such promoters of it that we think this is the best thing, especially as creatives, that all this is the best stuff, but
Hmm.
we're just not putting our heads in the sand.
Right.
That's the only difference.
Yeah.
We understand what's coming. We're looking ahead. We're looking around the corners for you. Sometimes scaring both of us, but at least we're bringing it to you so you're not surprised when it's here. You're as prepared as you can possibly be, and
Right.
and just deal.
Yeah. Make sure to say please and thank you to all of your LLM requests as it
Exactly.
is cataloging your how cordial you are. Um, so that's some advice from the top here. So no, but you're very right. There's that the big topic that everyone's kind of talking about, the AGI,
Yeah.
that is getting closer and closer to where it's just something that just is able to figure everything out faster than us. But I want to shed a little positive sunlight on this. I was watching some YouTube videos this weekend just talking about how this one gentleman that led a team of researchers that did medical research,
Hmm.
that they worked for about 2 months to come up with some outside of the box conclusions. Now, I'm not going to get into medical details because I'm not a professional in that way, but they trained the most up to date LLM with this exact same data set, and it took it 2 days to come up with the exact same answer that this team of researchers took months.
Right.
And
Right.
and so the potential for scientific and medical advancement once we hit this level is through the
And new
roof. So
opportunities.
hopefully,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Health
So hopefully
wise.
everybody plays nice in the sandbox with this technology and
Yeah. We'll see where it
everything
goes.
becomes just if I hope everything becomes more fair for everybody across the world with this. So then you don't have as
That's the
many bad
hope.
actors motivated to, make things not good for someone else. So
Yeah. No.
that's my optimistic point of view on that.
It's all you can be
Yeah.
ultimately because you can see the possibilities. There
Yeah.
are huge possibilities. And
Right.
and again, I have used it for over the last 5 years, really the last 3 years with one of my side projects that has really grown, and the things that I can do with
Hmm.
it. I'm making such a it's I have deeper conversations, and I have asked the same questions over the last number of years, and it's continuously given me better answers.
Wow.
And it's also
Yeah.
helped me with better design, better approaches. And again, I guess to the point back to my original one, what do you want to build with it? That's what I've been doing. And I have
Yeah.
learned so much. The beginning days where I was literally cutting and pasting information to now I have full-blown automated stuff going, all came
Great.
from testing, trying, having new ideas, because ideas breed new ideas. And that's why, when you have a certain level of AI that's doing the basic stuff, now your curiosity is going to go
Yeah.
up. And you're going to
Free to
be thinking
wander.
about
Right.
stuff you never thought you'd be thinking about or trying to do.
Right. Yeah. For
So,
sure. I mean, you think about, 200 years ago, did they ever think that somebody could fly over the Grand Canyon with just a piece of machinery?
right.
And, then all of a sudden they're putting a big ramp in a motorcycle or, a helicopter, anything like
That's
that. But it's that
the
same
thought
kind of
came to my
progression.
mind.
Yeah. So, but to think about right now where we are compared to 200 years from now or whatever is possible because we've refined these tools that much further. So,
And what got us there is creativity.
exactly. Every
Creativity
single
is
time.
what gets us to those next levels. It's
Yeah.
people combining and coming up with new ideas, asking better questions. And
Hmm.
and I'm going to say this, and let's kind of wrap this up. But there are a lot of people and I guess we've said this too. Google's been around for 20 plus years. You've
Hmm.
had the all world of information already at your fingertips.
Right,
And a lot
right.
of people weren't even doing it then.
Yep.
So, they're still asking how far away is the sun, and it's about it, just those basic and not taking advantage of what was available to them. So a lot of people will not take that advantage, which is good news for you who
Yes.
is wanting to take advantage of these opportunities and will dive in and do the work. So
Right. And for the record, the distance from the sun is 1 astronomical unit.
thank
And on
you.
that note,
And
we
with that.
are two creative guys talking AI. We'll talk to you next week.